Hey fragrance friends and fanatics, welcome back. It's Benjamin here at the Centaur Fragrance channel showcasing another beautiful fragrance. And y'all saw the title. What we got on our hands today is Cartier's Roadster Sport. Now this is a flanker. You might have been hearing a lot about the regular Roadster. There has been a little bit of talk about it because it is such a outstanding fragrance. This is the flanker. This one has more citrus going on. It is a sport version, which are actually usually pretty bad, releases, bad flankers of sorts. And there's only a handful that have actually done a good job. Lalique's Encre Noir Sport is about the only other one that I know of that actually did a good job. So this one is actually good, and we're going to talk all about it here. And I actually love this juice, but it's got a couple fatal flaws and a couple weaknesses we'll talk about later in the video. But anyways, getting into the notes and getting into the fragrance, this is what you would expect, especially if you saw my other video of, Roadster. This is a patchouli vanilla mint fragrance. But what the Sport does is bring citruses and adds that to the forefront of the fragrance and makes that a big component of the fragrance. I still do get the other notes. I do get the other notes in the fragrance. The vanilla is taken down a little bit, but the patchouli is definitely tamed down a lot. The original Roadster has a very clean, almost white patchouli to it, almost a dry patchouli, and a lot of that is taken back. So if you felt like there was too much of a fougere vibe, too much of a gentlemanly vibe to the original Roadster, this one is going to be more trendy. It's going to be a lot more mass appealing. It's going to be a lot more universal. And if you're a younger guy, you might feel more comfortable with this one. It is a fine fragrance, and we'll talk about that later on, despite some of its weaknesses. So outstanding quality it's a Cartier. Just like Lalique, it's kind of underrepresented for the house, but they're outstanding quality for the money, and you really get your hands on something that smells beautiful. I have a hard time with citrus. Y'all know that I can be very, very picky. But this one, again, has more of that citrus kind of melange kind of thing going on, with like a mix of lemon, orange, maybe grapefruit. It's a mix of different fruity citrus kind of qualities that really make the fragrance pop and feels more smooth and feels a little bit more refined, as a actual fruity citrus kind of top. Not exactly fruity, more of citrus, but y'all know what I mean, the citrus aspect of fruit. But anyways, really, really nice. As the fragrance transforms, of course, with that classic Cartier Roadster DNA, you start to notice some of the patchouli, and of course, in the deep dry down, you get some of the vanilla. Now, in the transition from the opening to the mid of the fragrance, I do get a little bit more herbaceousness. I do get a little bit more green. There is a rosemary to this fragrance. There's some other notes. Just like with a lot of my fragrance reviews, I'm only going to mention the things that you might be able to notice are really noticeable, because when things blend into accords, I don't want to make this like I'm a perfumer analyzing the fragrance in deep, deep detail. I'm trying to make it be relatable. So about the only real nuance I can detect is rosemary. If you're not familiar with rosemary, it's a herbaceous note that comes off is kind of clean. It has a certain wateriness about it, and it's really refreshes the mind and really kind of makes you feel inspired. So it's real. It was already a feel-good fragrance with the citruses, and that combination already brightened your day. But the rosemary puts your headspace in even a better place. So this is definitely a pick you up kind of fragrance, make you feel better, make you feel happy, even though it does lean a little bit more on the classic type of DNA. And some people might feel like it's a little bit, fougere-like. I think it is more on the classic side of things. I really don't feel, even like the original Roadster is a fougere, I really don't feel about these fragrances. So, as the fragrance dries down, you get some of that dry vanilla, not terribly sweet, perhaps a little bit more on the powdery side of vanilla. And I feel like it's very nice, makes the fragrance understated. It smells very clean. It smells very refined, maybe perhaps a little bit posh. And I like that about these fragrances. I love fragrances that can be really approach that line of they can be dressed up a little bit, but they can also be dressed down to a nice casual wear. So this fits that really, really well. I like the classy vibe about this fragrance. So performance-wise, this is where the weaknesses of the fragrance. I've said some pretty nice things about this one. I like the combination. I like the notes. The notes work for me. Some people aren't crazy about mint. And again, there was mint in this fragrance, but it's not as much of a focus. The mint in the original Cartier really hits you. The mint really kind of comes out, rounds things out, and kind of starts to poke its head after the citruses start to go away. Again, when we talk about those citruses, y'all know what was coming. This fragrance does not have great longevity. I've seen some people say this fragrance is bad as 3 hours on their skin. I get better performance than that. I get 4, if not 5 hours out of this fragrance, and for a citrusy fragrance, that to me is actually respectable. You know, a lot of people are accustomed to beast mode. They can't wear something that's, if it's not longer than 8 hours long, they have to get through a whole workday with just one application. That's perfectly fine. I understand that. But if you want something that's like a happy, light, easy to wear special occasion fragrance, a lot of the times if you go to a party, if you go to a special event, if you're just going to enjoy the evening out, you often aren't going to do those things for 8 hours, are you? At least, I can't think of many situations where you would. So, 4 or 5 hours is plenty long enough. It could actually be too long for some people. I've seen some people who don't like awesome performance, but I think 5 hours for more of a citrus fragrance is definitely respectable. Anyways, projection wise, I got maybe average projection. It didn't really push off the skin that much, but it did have decent sillage. So overall, I guess at the projection maybe a little bit weak, and the sillage maybe a little bit better. So maybe it kind of averages out to average performance, but not bad, but could be better. Compliment factor wise, I didn't get a lot of crazy compliments, but when I did first apply this, when I walked around people, it did make people feel good. It did make them feel better, and I like that. It makes me feel better, and it makes other people feel really nice. And again, because it doesn't project as well, you probably will not get as noticed as much. But, it's a solid fragrance that makes you smell classy, gentlemanly, respectable, and really works. This one, just like the original, works really well in the office situations. It would work really well in a suit. It would really work really well going to church, in any type of formal situation. But this one is a little bit more playful, but still can easily be pulled off without coming off as, seductive or try hard or overbearing or, immature, like being overly playful. This one can be dressed up, but this one also can be dressed down to be a little bit more playful. So awesome fragrance. I do enjoy it. Compliment factor wise, didn't get anything crazy compliment factor wise, but I did notice that made some people feel good, and it did make me feel charming, and it did make me feel good. So that's, I think, a whole part of what a fragrance is all about. So my final thoughts with the price. This fragrance often is about, you can find it $35, sometimes maybe even a little bit less. It is a very respectable fragrance for the price. $35 for a fragrance of this quality, I don't think, even though the performance could be better, guys, and I still think is a solid recommendation. I don't think you can go wrong for $35, even less dollars if you get it at the right places, maybe even cheaper if you find it at a good price. There are a lot of fragrances out there that would compete for it as, affordable, maybe even cheapy fragrances for this kind of price. A lot of fragrances that you could possibly buy instead of this one. I think that this fragrance is going to suit somebody who maybe wants to try something that might smell a little bit more gentlemanly. Maybe they don't like fougères. Maybe they don't want to wear anything that's fougère-like. Even though I respect fougères, maybe, there could be a person like that. Maybe if you want to have something that smells a little bit classic, but also very friendly and very inviting, this also could be for you. Or maybe, you just want to, have something that you could layer perhaps with some other fougère fragrances. This also could be a good topper. Layer it on top of some of your beautiful green fragrances. So, I think it's solid. I do recommend it. Again, some people are going to beat it up for its performance, but I think it's a solid fragrance, and I really am happy that it exists. I'm happy that I bought it. I have both the original Roadster and the Roadster Sport, and I'm happy that I have both of them in my collection. I have a hard time connecting with some of the classic fougères, but I connect with this stuff. Outstanding quality for the money, outstanding citrus. You don't find this citrus at this price. It's one of the best citruses in my opinion. Anyways, have a beautiful day. Wear what you love, and I'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out, and bye.